Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be how to choose your A-level options. So I know I might be a little bit late for this year's Year 11s because I'm filming this video later than I wanted to, but hopefully this will help someone out who's still deciding, or even next year's Year 11s. So please excuse my hair, it's just not working today. I thought it'd be really cute and put it in a bun, and I've just had it done, so I probably should have it down, but no. Anyways, doesn't matter. That is not the point of this video. So, if you don't already know, I am in Year 12. I am just about to finish Year 12, which is kind of crazy. And so I have seen how people have got on with different options, and also what now we're finding out about like what options we should have for universities and stuff. So I'm going to share that knowledge with you and just try and help you out if you're struggling with deciding how to, like, just narrowing down your options basically. So I also appreciate that different colleges and different sixth forms will have different options, so you might have loads more options or not as many options as someone else your age. But don't worry about that, because every college and sixth form should do roughly the same sort of thing. Colleges will usually do more subjects because they have a greater range of facilities usually, whereas a sixth form will usually be very academic subjects. So bear that in mind if you're still picking whether to go college or sixth form route. Anyways, there's 3 or 4 main things that I think come into play when choosing your A-level options. So the first one is what you enjoy, the second being what you need for your future, and the third being what you're good at, and the fourth being the combination of all of them and how that goes together. So first one, main one, I feel, is what you enjoy. So I feel like this is what they should be based off of. If you don't enjoy a subject, you're not going to want to do 2 years of studying it. And remember that you are doing so many hours of work for that subject, not just lesson hours, but also hours outside of lessons over the next 2 years, that you're going to want to enjoy the subject. Otherwise, it's just going to be the absolute bane of your life having to study that subject. The great thing about A-levels is it's not GCSEs. There's no requirements of what you have to take. Being able to choose any subjects, make sure that you choose ones you enjoy. But also, this goes in with a third one, what you're good at, because you don't want to be demotivated because you aren't good at a subject. This shouldn't be what it's based off of though, really, because you can always improve with work. And if someone's better than you in a subject, that is because they've probably put in more work or are more naturally gifted in that area. And that shouldn't put you off choosing a subject. You can still choose a subject even if you're bad at it, but usually you enjoy it more when you're good at a subject, and if you're good at it, you're more motivated to work harder in it. So usually they come hand in hand, but not always. So don't worry if you aren't good at the subject, but just make sure you enjoy it so that you're motivated to listen in lessons, and you're motivated when it comes to revision. You're like, oh my god, yeah, I love biology, I'm going to do biology revision. And you've also got to make sure that you're doing like wider reading and wider stuff for the subject if you want good grades at A-level. And so reading on a subject that you already find boring is going to be so much harder than reading on a subject that you find really, really interesting. So bear that in mind when you're picking your A-levels, that you will have to do a lot of work on that subject. But number 2 kind of overrules both of these. If you need certain A-levels for your future career, whatever that is going to be, then you sadly have to pick those A-levels whether you enjoy those subjects right now. But also just remember that those subjects are obviously going to be related to whatever your course, your uni course, your apprenticeship, your job in the future is. That's why you have to have them for that. So if you're not enjoying these subjects, maybe it's the wrong career for you. However, I know people that want to be doctors for their various reasons of why they want to be doctors, but absolutely hate chemistry or biology, but have to do both because there's no other way to get into There's no other way to become a practicing doctor in the UK without taking those A levels. So remember that you may not enjoy those subjects now, but if you need them for something you know you're going to enjoy in the future, then they're definitely worth taking. This is also the stage where you need to research what you want to do in the future, because there might be very specific A-level requirements what you want to do, or there might not be at all. There might be recommended A-levels, or there might be no recommendations, but you need to make sure that you've researched what it is you want to do in the future, or at least have options of what you want to do in the future, and know that your A-levels will be able to take you on those paths. But also, don't worry if you don't know what you want to do in the future. A lot of my year group don't have a clue what they want to do in the future, and that is completely okay. You just, at this stage when you're choosing your A-levels, just make sure you're doing what you enjoy, because then that will narrow down eventually into certain career paths, because the combination of A-levels that you take will kind of narrow down your options of what you can go on to do in the future, whether that's in an apprenticeship, a uni degree, or straight into work. So they will narrow down naturally, but also it's how well they go together. So this kind of brings me to my final like little bit. So make sure that you're thinking about the 3 A-levels or 4 A-levels, or even 5 if you're crazy, and how well they go together. So I take 3 A-levels, and mine are really random. History, biology and economics. None of those I would say go together, but they are all good A-levels to take, and also they all keep my options open. They're all A-levels that can stand alone. So like history, I can go on and do a history degree. I can go on and do law. I can go on and be a teacher of history if that's what I want to do. Economics, I can go and do anything businessy. I can't really do anything economicsy, because normally at university to do anything economics or statistics or accounting you have to have maths. So obviously that stands alone as a business point of view, but it doesn't stand alone for actual economics. And then biology kind of stands alone in sciences, but you wouldn't really get any sciencey jobs without taking chemistry, to be honest. But it's a very broad subject in terms of, I could do forensic science or something like that. I wouldn't be able to do the really like doctor jobs or anything like that without chemistry. Anyways, so look at where your A-levels are going to take you. There's also certain things that schools do not recommend, well, sixth forms don't recommend. For example, taking business and economics, because they overlap so much that most universities will only count them as 1 A-level. Most of the top universities will look at your business and economics and be like, no, they are basically the same, we're not taking those 2 separate grades. But that depends on the university as well. You might get away with that, but honestly there's no point even taking business and economics because they are quite similar. But also like things like, you might want to take all humanities depending on what you want to do at university. So if you're taking sciences for whatever reason, you might want to consider taking maths. If you're taking maths, you might want to consider doing economics or another science to make sure that it kind of all ties in together. If you're doing humanities subjects but you also want a little bit of science in there, something like psychology or sociology, and usually those two don't go together as well. But this is just, you need to make sure that you're kind of showing a university, if you know what you want to do in the future. For example, for me, I want to do law. I need to show the university that I'm interested in law specifically. So economics and biology won't really show that. History will, because it's an essay-based subject and it just shows that I'm interested in that sort of writing. But I now need to go on, I'm going to go and do an EPQ in year 13 on something to do with law to prove my commitment to law. Whereas if you want to be a doctor, choosing chemistry, biology and maths in year 11 already shows your commitment to it, because even if they're not the most enjoyable subjects, you know that you have to do those to be able to become a doctor. I also know that some people, so for example, one of my friends, she wants to be a nurse, but she doesn't take biology, she doesn't enjoy biology, she's taken psychology instead, and that's actually qualified as a science to be able to become a nurse. So look into those sorts of options if you're not into like sciences, or you don't want to have to take maths, whatever you're taking. Look into other ways of doing that. You might be able to take a short course maths or something else. The main thing to do is research. Look at your sixth form or your college's options and what they offer as A levels, or even AS levels still. and also look at universities and what their requirements are. If you click on a subject at university, it should say their kind of A-level grades, and then it will say including if you need a certain A-level. So keep your options open. You have 3 A-levels to play with. That is, I feel like, more than enough to be able to keep loads of options open. I've kept so many doors open with my A-levels, but you can also close doors. You can be like, I really don't want to do geography any further. Not going to do geography. That closes that geography door. You know, I've not taken on, I've swapped from business to economics at GCSE, so I've kind of gone a bit broader. Like, you just need to look into what you want to do in the future, and if you have multiple career paths that you could go down, make sure you're keeping all of them open if that's what you want to do. So the best thing to do is just think about your future. If you don't know what you want to do, look at what you enjoy. Just go through and be like, right, okay, I really enjoy that subject, so I'm going to do that. And that actually works really well with that subject, so I might as well do that. And also, I don't know whether this is for every school, but for my sixth form I had to choose it in blocks, and I actually wanted to do maths instead of biology, but it didn't fit the blocks, so I got biology, and I'm so glad I did, because I enjoy biology so much more than I've ever enjoyed maths. It might work out that way, but honestly, just go with what you think you're going to enjoy the most, because you're going to be spending so many hours on that subject that you want to make sure you're enjoying it. Basically, summary of this video: do your research, know what you want to do in the future, or keep the options open of what you potentially want to do in the future. Pick A-levels that you enjoy, make sure they go together well, and that you can achieve well in them, because that's the main thing, is that you get the grades that you need to go on and do whatever you want to do. So that is everything for this video. I really hoped I've helped at least one person out with this, and hopefully you enjoyed watching. If you did, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel down below, and I will see you again very soon for another video. Bye!